Hola, bom dia, Carl Munson here of expatsportugal.com. How are you today? Tudo bem? Quite a few things to talk about, to look at today. I must admit, I think this staying up late into the evening, into the early hours of the morning and looking at American election coverage is catching up with me a bit. That's with the Portuguese red wine that tends to go with it. So do bear with me. I probably need your support and help this morning, as ever. So do let me know who you are, where you are, and what your connection to Portugal is. And actually, at the moment, how are you feeling? Because these are crazy times. We need to support and look after each other. That's what I see this service is all about, just making sure the expat community are connected, supported and helped and informed, for one thing, and to help, obviously, other people who want to come to visit and live in Portugal as well. But I think we, as human beings, all share a common sense of pressure or anxiety or whatever it is, whatever the pressures that there are in the world do take their toll and have their effect, and I think better out than in. Let's talk about it. And also, as I was talking about in the show notes today, what is our vision for the future? Because it's very easy to get bogged down in the immediate anxieties and challenges and lose sight. And this is what I think we are seeing over in America. I mean, it's completely the news coverage, that's what newsmongers do, isn't it? But the coverage is dominated by doom and gloom and division. I think it's very important to occasionally say, hold on a minute, we need to be meerkats and not ostriches, and not just staring at the immediate scene. We need to get our heads up and our eyes forward there, as I've got on the screen, and have a look to the future and actually shape it, because it looks like that's probably the best thing to do. We are seeing, are we not, and this isn't a political statement necessarily, but the inefficiency, I'll put it like that, the inefficiency of putting our futures in the hands of politicians who don't necessarily know us, who make decisions based on numbers and data in distant offices. They're doing their best, I'm sure, but we're seeing the inefficiency perhaps of that, and how it might be that we need to take greater care and responsibility in our localities. And what better place to do that than in Portugal? So I'm very interested in your views there. How do you see life post-pandemic? How are you actually preparing yourself for that, and your family and your locality, for what looks like we're not going back to the old normal. I don't think we are. I think what we're looking at is a no normal. And in that space, it's up to us to co-create the sort of lifestyle and communities we want to have. Because I will be looking at the economic picture this morning as well. A mixed bag, a contradictory bag. Unemployment up, yet GDP improving, house sales at record levels. It's quite confusing. To me, it does point to the gap between the richer and the poor are getting bigger. And I'm not being a tub thumper. It's not an overtly everything's political in one sense. But I'm not moaning or complaining or being negative, I don't think. I just want a heads up here. I want us to have a heads up and see what we might do together to face this no normal. Okay, enough of that for the time being. Let's go somewhere safe for a moment, and that will be to the weather. Safely raining, it would appear, across Portugal this morning. 14 degrees, possible light rain in the capital with a high of 19, but it's going to rain right over the weekend and through to the next week in the capital. And I think the picture is pretty much the same all over the country. Sunny weather returning, but only briefly, Tuesday of next week. Porto, so let's have a look at Porto. Yes, Tuesday, the sun returns next week, and it is 19 degrees, the high to look forward to in Porto, but currently 14 and overcast. And look at that, 5 straight days of rain. Coimbra the same, 5 straight days of rain and cloud, 13 degrees. At the moment, 18 to look forward to today. So it's going to be wet, but it's not going to be that cold. Although it's getting chilly, isn't it? Chilly at night, chilly in the mornings. But 18 degrees the high in the Coimbra region today. Faro, 20 degrees, nice and mild there, but still raining for the next 4 days. Sunshine forecast in Faro for Monday and Tuesday of next week. But the temperature is pretty stable around the 20 mark. Currently 17 in Faro. I do love doing the weather. I really do. Let's see who's here this morning. Elsa Prestatyn, North Wales. Bon dia from a dull and dreary Prestatyn. And those are hardy people, the Welsh who live in North Wales. How they survive their winters is something of a marvel to me, I have to say, having been there. A former Mrs. Munson from North Wales, and a beautiful country, beautiful lady, but beautiful country where she was from. And I don't know how that you wonderful North Wales people cope with the depths and darkness of that particular winter. Let us know, Elsa. How do you do it? We get off lightly here in Portugal. I mean, we do have damp to contend with at times and in certain parts of Portugal, but I think we can take a leaf out of your books. Let us know how you do that. Bon dia from a sunny Wiesbaden, very nervous awaiting results of the US election. Looks like Biden's got it right, Jim. we did stay up on last night and the night before analysing the results. You could hear it in my voice perhaps this morning. It's looking like it's edging towards a Biden win, with sour grapes from the incumbent, and legal challenge and allegations of voting fraud, and even if the result is known fairly soon, which I don't think it will be, we have to wait, don't we? The world has to wait for the new president to arrive in January. That's when the takeover takes place. It's not a sudden ripping of the plaster, as I put it, and let's get on with it, and let's get the government officials in and escort the old president out with a cardboard box and a couple of security guards or FBI agents. No, you got to wait till January for the swap over. That's going to be a bitter few months, is it not? Because I'm pretty it's safe to say that Donald doesn't like losing. But let's see. Yeah, we await the result with bated breath, like you, Jim. The connection and support offered by this group was the deciding factor for our wanting to come to Portugal. How wonderful! I'm a meerkat. And there's Deborah Davies, proudly deciding to declare herself as a meerkat. That's really, really nice to hear, Deborah. And that's part of my not tub thumping, but my invitation to everybody is to deepen this connection and offer more support. What did I say? Share, care, and prepare. Sounds like a hideous Tory three-part slogan, doesn't it? For oh dear, I realise what I've done there now. But prepare, care, and share, I think, is the order of the day. And sorry to make it sound like a hideous bit of government information, but I think you get the gist there. That's not just aimed at you, Deborah, of course. I think completely gets it. But we need to be thinking about what lies just beyond this immediate drama that we find ourselves in. And let's do the day and the date, shall we, today on this, the quinta-feira, dia 5 de novembro. Okay, that's repeat after me. Quinta-feira, dia 5 de novembro. But thank you, Deborah, for that. Really appreciate it. Laura, the future is wonderful. I will be roaming about in my storybook cafe like Aladdin, riding her magic carpet. So there you go, folks. It's official. The future is wonderful, and that's the condition Laura will be in. So I think job done, basically. Fantastic, Laura. Thank you for reporting that. Fabulous. Louise, preparing by arriving in Portugal on Saturday on a one-way ticket. Yes, Louise. And boa sorte to you, to the max. Everything crossed, and all love and support from this community to you in your adventure as it begins on Saturday with that one-way ticket. Fabulous. Reach out to us, the expatsportugal.com forum, if you've got questions, if you need support from the expats who are here, and there are Portuguese people in there. To me, that's a sign of a pretty good network for expats. It's one that actual local native people want to be a part of, and keep an eye on things and help us as well, which is fantastic. Paul Williams, good morning, Paul. Hola, bon dia. It's a very wet and breezy start to the day here. Not sure about the future, but I feel I can only influence it on a macro level. Well, that fair enough. I mean, I think we can only all do it as we see fit, right? But I think the point is that we take it by both horns, because it is a bit of a bull, the future that's shaping up for us. And I think, yeah, being involved, being committed, being the meerkat is the thing. How you do it and at what level is surely an entirely a personal choice. And I'm certainly, Paul, I see you as somebody who cares and shares and is part of the community here. So let us know how that unfolds, and maybe a little what might you mean exactly with that. Andrea Pereira, hola, bon dia from Old Colwyn, North Wales. Okay, so another person from North Wales who might let us know how they cope with the the cold, damp and dark winters there. Feeling fed up looking at the prices of flights to Portugal next year. Silly money. It is. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But rest assured, Andrea, I think there will be other solutions. This is what human beings do, isn't it? Sailing may of course make some sort of revival. That may sound silly, but I think the necessity is the mother of invention. Human beings are essentially creative, and we've no idea what's coming to solve the problems that are problems that we've inherited from the way of life that used to be the old normal. I think things are changing, and I think that will include transportation and how we move around, and we will be rethinking and reinventing. And that, of course, lies within all of our hands here, and we can be part of visioning that future, I think. Andrea, where were you looking for your flights and the costs? EasyJet are usually really cheap. I've got flights booked in May and September, and I only paid about 25 quid each way. So there you go, Elsa. It's helping you there, Andrea. Fantastic. Great to hear that. Shelley, thanks, Shelley, for making a watch party of our election coverage. That didn't go unnoticed last night. Bon dia all from Shelley. Yes, and thank you for your support of the show last night, which, although we meant to talk about politics in the US, we ended up talking about underwear and all kinds of stuff. What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. It was a lot of fun with my co-host, Frank Devane, last night, who, of course, joins me tonight for the Wine Club and again tomorrow for the Expat Man Cave. And we discovered also that a few people secretly watch. There are women who secretly watch the Expat Man Cave, which slightly makes us think we might behave better, but then we'll soon forget that, I suspect, once we get going. Carl, especially right by the sea, we have to be hardy, says Elsa. This is the comment about how Welsh people, North Wales people, are tough and finding out how they survive the winter. We have to be hardy, she says. It's horrendous when we get storms, which is quite frequent these days. Good heavens, it is something like from Thomas Hardy, the movie of Far From the Madding Crowd. That scene where the storm comes in and they're trying to save their haystack. Pretty amazing. That's the vision that comes to mind for me. Donna, good morning to you. Bon dia from a rainy and windy Terceira. Yes, indeed. Rainy days here in Portugal. So it's one consolation for you folks who are trying to get here. You're not missing out on any good weather at the moment, not for the next 5 days anyway. And yes, I need to tell you, you can't go surfing either. So there's another thing. If you were thinking of going surfing at Nazaré, you can't do that. So there's another consolation prize for you in a strange sort of way. Bon dia a todos. Don't worry too much, but live in the now. It is difficult, but it gives you more peace of mind, I think. Absolutely, Jenny. Anyone who follows my my meditation live streams, I think it's really important to get into the now. What's his name? The power of now. Eckhart Tolle. It is a useful sentiment. I don't think we should blight our now with fears of tomorrow or recriminations about the past. It's a funny old thing us human beings, I think, you might do in this regard. Yes, of course. We must enjoy our present moment, mustn't we? As much as we are possibly able to do that. And it's not an easy thing to do, I grant you that. And I think these are the times where vision is important. The vision we hold for the future, such that the nows of the future, forgive me, I haven't been on the wacky backy or anything talking like this in this sort of philosophical way. Certainly not. Portuguese red wine does it for me. But yes, whilst being in the now, holding in our hearts and in our minds a positive vision for the future, for our lives here in Portugal. Sounds kind of contradictory, doesn't it? Being in the present, but thinking about the future. But I think you get the gist of what I mean there. And I know I've got a few happy homesteader hippie-ish friends among you here. It's interesting, isn't it? How that would have been a terrible admission some years ago, being anything like a new ager or a hippie or having spiritual thoughts. But given the times of desperation that we're in, I think loads of people are, yeah, definitely, I'm a hippie. I sage my house. I do positive affirmations. No one's bothered anymore, are they? And it seems like everyone's trying anything and everything that might make for a more positive future. And I'm glad of that, quite frankly. Looking at April, says Andrea, with flights around £300. Good heavens, yes, but it will be the school holidays pushing those prices up. No choice, as Paolo has to take holidays then as he works in education. It's a shame that you have to be penalised in that way, but this is the market forces at work, isn't it? Which hopefully will also be addressed in some more humane and compassionate way in the future for humanity. In Villanova de Milfonche now, you lucky thing, you, Shelley. Really nice little town, well out of COVID news. Yeah, this is a town. Just a little bit of Portuguese intel here. This was recommended to me by one of the Portuguese landlords I stay with. Fantastic fellow down Lisbon way. And I like to ask local people, where do Portuguese people go? And Vila Nova de Milfontes was one place that came up in the Alentejo. Got to go there at some point, and it sounds like Shelley certainly approves of it this morning. So stick that on your list, folks. This ever-growing list of experiences we want to have in Portugal. Popping in to Vila Nova de Milfontes, coastal town in the Alentejo. Fabulous. Have a super day, Shelley, down there. Snap, Deborah, same for me. I'm not sure what that's about. Hopefully that's something to do with being part of this community. Aladina, that is correct. Aladina. Okay, this is Laura. I'm sorry. Of course, you wouldn't be like Aladdin. You would be more like Aladina. We'll search how to switch that off, as it grates me so with my word creation, conforming us like a politician. Yes, that's right. Turn off autocorrect and stick it to the man, Laura. Amazing. Yeah, it is annoying, that, isn't it? And it does add to that sense of how we're all being conformed to some sort of tiny little bandwidth of normal. Yes, break it up, smash up the autocorrect. Yeah, I feel your pain. Freya's here this morning. Hello, Freya. Lovely to have your company. Freya's doing amazing work to transform society. Good morning, Carl from Amarant. It's been ages since I tuned in, but lovely to see and hear you. Love the topic and love to you. Love is the future. What else? There you go. Another simple answer. And thank you for that, Freya. It absolutely is, no doubt about it. And then we'll get down to the tactics of that, won't we? The tactics of love. That's a nice name for an autobiography. Earlier this year, when COVID first reared its ugly head and cancelled flights, they issued early flight release dates for 2021 right through to September. That's when I managed to snatch flights in May and September. Dirt cheap. Good for you, Elsa, and something worth knowing about there. Donna Grassa is here as well. Loads of lovely people in this morning. Bom dia a todos. Presenta e ausenta. Does that mean good morning to all here and not here? Is that sort of absent friends and those who are here? That could well be the palavras do dia, that phrase, presenta e ausenta. Please let me know what that means, somebody. The sound is not as it used to be, somewhat tinny. What is going on with my tech? Good morning to you, Ty, and thank you for reporting that. Let me just do one check here. I know why that is for the second time. And this is what I'm saying about the whole sort of coverage thing catching up with me. That should be much better now. Usually something that is easily solved once I'm alerted to it. Are you using your laptop mic? Yes, I was. And it should be fine as well. Meditation stream as well. Is there no end to your talents? Oh, look. Louise, it's something I've been doing for years, actually. About 20 years now, teaching people a very simple, it's a meditation, mindfulness kind of technique. It's a bit of a hobby, really. It just feels like something that's right to do. And yeah, it's another brief live stream that I do. I tend to do once a day, well, weekdays anyway. Peter, and thank you for asking, Louise. Instead of hiding like an ostrich or worrying like a meerkat, can we not just be a sloth and carry on regardless, unaware and at that pace? I do have a lot of sympathy for that. I really do, Pete. And yes, very often behave in that manner. So yes, we could. I mean, let's discuss that, because I think we do have some sort of responsibility to shape the future, don't we? Even if some of us are sloths, just visioning things and then leaving the tactics and the operational matters to others. I mean, I think that's one of the privileges of becoming an elder, isn't it? Is to have a slower life and come out with nuggets of wisdom that other people can act upon. I mean, that's my vision of becoming an elder one day anyway. But yeah, the problem, of course, with leaving it and not getting involved actively, because I think that is something essentially human, isn't it? Is that we are active and communal beings. You know, we need to be doing something, don't we, with our hands and with our minds and from our hearts. So I think the problem is if you don't get off your slothful butt occasionally, others will. And their agendas might be different. And I think it's fair to say we're seeing a little bit of that in the world, aren't we? If we don't deal with it ourselves, others will, and we might not like the results. Elsa, also, Carl, about awful weather. I have my horses on a farm in, why have you done this to me? How am I supposed to say that? Guansgor? Gwaithgor, only 8 minutes drive from my house, but that area has its own climate. And my goodness, when the weather's horrendous down here, it's 10 times worse up there on the mountain. If you're not a hardy Welshie, you won't cope. My goodness, when I hear stuff like that, I'm glad to be in Portugal. And, I count my blessings for the little bit of damp and cold we have here. Yes, we ladies have our spies in the man cave. You thought those were bats hanging on the roof. Penny, I thought there was some move here for the ladies, for the women to have their own gathering on a Friday night. This is we've never wanted to be exclusive, so all are welcome. But it does have a rather blokey flavour to it. I'm sure you'll agree. Where maybe something can be learned about that species by others hanging from the roof and listening in. But there was some talk of. There was some talk of the women having their own bat cave, as it were. Not the phrase that I'm going with or think is right, but there was one suggestion. The lady garden was another, but I mean, I'm not sure we should do that. But yes, I mean, what are you women going to do maybe on a Friday night as an alternative to the expat man cave? Obviously, I can't run that one. Someone perhaps can step forward and host that. And again, it's part of being in a community, isn't it? And I think that's a really important thing. I was saying it yesterday, social capitalism. If there's to be some big old capitalism of the future, won't it be social capitalism, where we value our relationships with each other? I don't mean trading and getting the better of each other. I just mean enjoying the benefit of being in community, and giving and taking, sharing and caring, as I'm saying, as the tone of this show. I really think we have to embrace that. And if we don't voluntarily, I actually think we're going to be forced to. Bon dia, my dear, from Sean. Good morning to you, Sean. How are you doing this morning over there in Pedrogo Grande? Much better. Thanks, Ty, for your executive production this morning. So the sound is sorted. That's fantastic. Hope our efforts last night managed to diffuse the political tensions in our own inimitable way. I think, Gary, the feedback is good. We have managed to calm America with our efforts last night. So good work and long may it continue. Who knew that this small merry band could influence the whole of America in the way that we have? And Grassa, yes, this is Grassa's greeting, Donna Grassa's greeting earlier on. Bon dia a todos presente y ausente. So those present and those absent, good day to you, one and all. And is that a kind of greeting sort of to absent friends as well, Grassa, I wonder? Let's have a look. What other comments are coming in before we tell you can't go surfing? Bon dia from Praia da Luz. Good morning to you, Anna. How are your travels going? How's your exploration of Portugal going? Do keep us informed. Love to interview you as part of our expat chat series. That to me has been we got off to a fantastic start with Laura, who's here this morning, talking to Maria on Wednesday of next week. Other people have stepped forward. Really looking forward to doing those. Really loved them. Our company in Holland, says Sean, was called True Love Antiek and Guest House. Antique and Guest House, is that Dutch for antique, Antiek? True Love is a Yorkshire surname from Uncle Herbert. True Love is a beautiful name, isn't it? And you can imagine, people being called names like Charity True Love or Hope True Love, summoning up the great hopes people had, which were embodied in their names as an affirmation. Isn't that wonderful? Penny, thank you for that, Sean. Penny, your time to lead the way is now. So maybe are we putting forward Penny there as the leader of the lasses, as it were, on a Friday evening, whilst the men disappear into the man cave to debrief their week in Portugal and have a bit of a drink on a Friday night. And anybody who's into that vibe, obviously, it's so old fashioned to be gender based, isn't it? It's more of a vibe. If you're into the expat man cave vibe, join us regardless of your gender and all those other matters. But there may be another one. There may be a sort of a different flavor available, which I might pop into from time to time myself, which Penny may well lead, as Gary is urging her to do. Gary, I dreamt about you last night. I have a confession. I dreamt about you and your house. Not that I know the man cave, obviously, because it's from where we take our name, the Gaz Bar in your basement. But I dreamt I went to your house and it was a pub. And it was one of those weird dreams where things kept changing. But we are hanging out too much together, aren't we? Albeit online. I'm even not only hanging out with you online loads. I'm dreaming about you as well. Don't be scared. Honestly, don't be scared. In the she shed, the she shed. There we go. I think we've got it. I've got the beautiful wine I buy when I'm in Constancia. I pay about €2 in Portugal and $5.45 here in Prestatyn. The she shed has got legs. To coin a ZZ Top phrase. I think that's pretty good, the she shed. I like that. Curious, says Anna. What makes it a man cave? What do you discuss that would not interest even women? Not saying that, Anna. Evidently, the man cave is of interest to women, because even Donna Jacqueline last night said, I secretly listened to the expat man cave. It's blokey. That's the kind of best thing I can say, but not exclusive. So see for yourself. We broadcast publicly what we talk about, and we do put a little warning up. There may be puerile humor. That's one aspect of it, and that's not everybody's cup of tea. But it's certainly something that gives us mere male mortals a little bit of comfort on a Friday night. As I say, as we debrief our week, all are welcome, but there is a particular flavour. Penny is keen to add that her lady garden is not going public. Well, that's probably a good thing, Penny. Thank you very much for that. And Donna is simply giving us an N. As I don't know if that's some sort of code. The N there, the big N is coming in. Donna, thank you for that, Donna. Our journey is very interesting, says Anna. And if I can say a little bit more, my understanding is that you are touring around Alentejo, Algarve, on the search. Yes, the house we are looking for has still not appeared. There we go. But a lot of areas we would love to live in. An interview could be fun further on. You know I'm here and waiting to talk to you, Anna, when it feels right for you. She Shed gets my vote. You've nailed it, says Louise. So there we go. She Shed, it may well be. She Shed doesn't sound so good for Portuguese people, as it sounds like a shortened version of shishi or we in English. There's always going to be something, Pete. We will shock and amaze Portuguese women who might want to join the she shed in that case. Good to know, though, Pete. And it's not my decision. Of course, it's not my decision. I'm not going to get. I'm not going to get all. What's the word? Patronizing and patriarchal with you. You she shedders. You decide for yourselves. I'm not getting involved. N is a pocket typo. It was still great to hear from you. All right, so let's have a look at. Well, that hasn't happened for a long time. Crashing. I don't know if you could hear me messing about in the background trying to get the show back on the road there. How about the sheed? Again, Pete, I'm saying I'm not getting involved in that. Let me just check that my microphone is still in that decent setting for you. There we go. Okay. I'm assuming you can still hear me. Where have you gone? I'm back now. Hello there, happy expat Portugal. Yes, community is everything. I'm answering your topic for today. Everyone has value to bring and good humor. Absolutely, Helen. Spot on. And thank you for your comments. She's in Thailand, you know. Elsa, you don't know if you have visited the Portuguese supermarkets in Wrexham. That's how we get our Portuguese fix of food and wine. That's good to know. There's a Portuguese supermarket in Wrexham. Awesome. And where did Carl go? Into the cave or the shed? Let me know if you can hear me again, folks. That would be awesome. Okay, yeah, it happened because I was trying to share with you. And we know that occasionally happens, that we lose contact with each other when I try and share screens. But I just wanted to share with you the Portugal resident. Let me see if this works now. Yes, look at this. Big wave surfing prohibited in Nazaré. Okay, so that's not good news for surfers. It's kind of understandable in a way. I mean, what do you think of this? What do you make of this news, Pete? We are over there in Nazaré being told by the PortugalResident.com Let's have a look. Is it? Yes, our favorite writer, our favorite paper, Natasha Don Nazare reports authorities have today pulled the strings. This was yesterday on big wave surfing due to crowds of onlookers that they say constitute a serious public health risk. Explain reports any kind of surfing activity was prohibited at Praia do Norte, the beach that intrepid surfers from around the world head to at this time of year due to the massive waves that can roll in. Ports captain Zeferino Henriques cited the negative opinion of the health authorities following crowds that gathered to watch the massive swells last week. Pete was there. He told Lusa that Borough Civil Protection Services asked health authorities about the need for a contingency plan, bearing in mind Monday saw the opening of the holding period for the Nazare Tow Surfing Challenge, an event linked to the World Surf League, which extends to March the 31st, 2021. Reports over social media say the ban today took all big surfers by surprise. I bet it did. SIC Television News says the council, meantime, has asked for an urgent meeting with the DGS health officials in order to get the prohibition lifted. Interesting. Town Mayor Walter Chicharo stressed his council already has a plan that envisages up to 2,500 people able to watch the events spread over a gigantic area between the lighthouse and shore of Praia do Norte, the controlled access points where their numbers can be counted. The council is also planning live transmission of activities in the water so that people can watch without having to travel to the spot, he said. And we know we can do that on the Mayo beach cams anyway. MEO, look up Praia do Norte and you'll be able to see. I mean, it's pretty choppy this morning, I'm sure. Bearing in mind the investment the town council and indeed Portugal has made to promote Nazare globally, Chicharo is hoping today's ban will be short-lived. Here's to that. Understandable, but come on, I'm sure we can manage our way through this. That is such an important thing in the eyes of the world as far as Portugal goes. Okay, and your views on that most and more than welcome. I'll be back. Salt disinfects, don't they know? Okay, yes, but I'm not going surfing just to get a bit of salt on my body, honestly. Wow, no surfing in Nazare and Ericeira. I didn't know about Ericeira as well. The Nazare camera is an emergency talks now, says Pete, with all the companies, tourism, surfers, etc., to allow surfing here again. It brings too much money for it to be cancelled. We have to find balance, don't we? We really do. You know, I get it that there is a possible public health risk, but we do have to stop the economy, you know, dying on its feet. And like I said, we'll take a look at the economic picture in Portugal within this view of, you know, preparing, caring and sharing, because the picture is not looking good. And I you know me, I don't like to be the harbinger of doom, but I do think we ought to be practical and realistic about what's going on. And Andrea Pereira, Luso, this is very specific information. This is in Wrexham, folks, if ever you're there. Luso Foods near Halford, Portugal Sea Land Flavours on the industrial estate, some restaurants and coffee shops in the city centre. So there's a few Portuguese people. That's amazing. The Vasco da Gama is the Portuguese hub of Wrexham, a huge Portuguese community in Wrexham. Who knew? Let's get somebody talking to us from Wrexham one day. And we'll keep everybody in touch with their Portuguese roots via this show, perhaps. They can have F1 racing, but not surfing. Absolutely, Gary. It does seem that, you know, surfing and watching surfing on the coast would be a pretty, or not a healthy thing given the pandemic, but, you know, healthier than sat at a racetrack, perhaps you would have thought, wouldn't you? Talking about shopping, is there anything expats can't get in Portugal that you'd like from the UK? Are you offering to bring it over, Elsa? And I think you've opened the floodgates there. Elsa, happy for that information about Wrexham. Awesome. What's this all about? That's a great question, Francois. I wish I knew. Denada, Elsa, might see you in Vasco. So Vasco's the epicenter of the Portuguese community in Wrexham. Good morning to you all there. Should anybody be tuning in from Wrexham this morning from the Portuguese community? That's absolutely lovely to hear. All right, so this economic picture, and not an easy one. I'm looking at the Portugal News now and their homepage. I'm just sort of picking a few stories up from the homepage to give you a picture of what's going on, and what underlining basically the fact that I think we need to take the future into our own hands as much as possible and not leave it to the politicians. However, that said, Portuguese economy recovered 13.2% in the third quarter. I do have to ask you, when I see statistics like that, it's a bit like an earthquake. Did anyone else feel that? Is that a reality for people? Does when a GDP goes up, and that's a pretty good spike, isn't it? 13.2%. Anyone felt that at home where you are? Where else? Another interesting statistic: a third of the Portuguese population has already been tested for COVID. Interesting. 2020 on track to be third best year for real estate transactions. Again, who knew? And how? And that's got to be a good thing for the economy. But one of these things where I'm wondering, how does that fit? What picture does this create for the future, where real estate transactions, third best year ever, GDP up, but unemployment also up. Unemployment apparently went up by 45 point something percent in a recent economic, a segment of the economic year. 45%. I really couldn't, when I looked at the article, I really couldn't work out how they had worked it out. But suffice to say, and you no prizes for guessing, and unemployment is going up. That's why I mentioned this, to give you a picture of what's going on here, and the need for us to prepare on a local level and on community level. And also, whilst we're here, partial confinement in 121 counties. This is the other news. I mean, so much to talk about at the moment, right? So much to be aware of, and this information coming in that I think we need to manage and respond to longer term. Partial confinement in 121 counties from today until November the 19th. It came in yesterday. Partial confinement comes into effect today in 121 municipalities in Portugal, mainland Portugal, where there is a high risk of transmission of COVID-19. Citizens in those areas are to stay at home except for authorized travel, such as shopping, work, education, and exercise. In the Algarve, Sabras del Portel is the only municipality subject to the measure. That's for the Algarvians. And you can, go to Safe Communities Portugal to find out what you can and can't do. It is a bit confusing because people are asked to stay at home, and yet the restaurants are open. Good news for the restaurants in some ways, that they can at least trade and make some money, but then people are being told to stay at home. You've got to figure that out for yourselves. One way of doing that, go to the best place, I think, for such news, safecommunitiesportugal.com. They lay it out, not only on their website, but on their Facebook page as well. If you're not already following or liking that, do. Francoise, I don't know if this is any clearer to you now. What's this all about? Elsa, yes, next time I'm coming over, I can take a few small orders. Stand by then for the Marmite and baked bean wave coming your way. Gary answering the question. First order in, tea, beans, bacon, gravy are all unofficial currencies here. Yeah, trade with it. This is part of the social capital I was talking about. Just a quick note to have a look at the guided mushroom walks I'm helping to organize in Castanheira de Pera over the next few weeks. Check out my profile or search in the events. Fantastic. Thanks, Pete, for that shout out. Yes, with Jose Zepash is your leader on the guided mushroom walks, right? It's the time of year, folks. What a lovely thing to do. And I'm sure socially distanced, but keep the alcohol away from the mushrooms. I'm sure it's not good for the fungi to be sprayed with alcohol. Battenberg cake. There's an unusual request. So you have an interesting suitcase, Elsa. Let's finish with a little bit of a little further bit of news. Actually, before I go, should we get this Palavras do Dia yesterday? If we reflect on that, the Palavras do Dia yesterday were the survival guide that was put forward by Maria on behalf of her husband. He says you only need 3 words in Portuguese: tá bem, pois, and mais. It's a pretty good start. I think you might need a few more than that, to be fair. But today, thanks to Dona Graça, we are going presente e ausente, present and absent, and I do sincerely hope I've spelled this correctly. As I pop it in the comments, I'm sure I will be told if I haven't done that. So there you go, presenta e ausente, which for some reason reminds me, I don't know why, but I meant to tell you that I stood in a post office queue yesterday. God forgive me, picking up Amazon parcels, not my choice. But it was, I felt I'd gone through a certain Zen moment in my Portuguese life here. I stood in a queue inside and outside a post office because of social distancing for half an hour with barely breaking a sweat
or ruffling a feather. And I actually felt quite proud of myself because I've marveled at that, how people queue up at multi-bancos, how people queue up in government offices, how people queue up at the post office. And I'm used to, I mean, you know, for a New Yorker, it would be unbearable. For a Londoner, similarly, it's quite difficult. And what you anticipate in a queue, if you're from the UK, I think, or certainly from a big city, it's a little bit of tutting and huffing and sighing coming from the back behind you if you're not efficient in your use of the queue. But there was none of it. Occasionally, people jumped the queue because they couldn't understand what was going on, and in a wonderful Portuguese way, they were challenged, you know, very straightforwardly, and then they would challenge back and stuff. And I love that. So, you know, there you've got the very restrained and quiet and relaxed queue. Then there'll be a little bit of outbreak of, like, you know, no queue jumping here, and the person would defend themselves why they were doing it, and it would be very straight talk, not much seething resentment. That's what I'm used to in the UK, and what I'm very glad to see the back of. I don't get a sense of seething resentment when I'm standing in a queue. Enough seething resentment, perhaps, to power the national grid at times back in old Blighty. And I was delighted to stand there and just, you know, let life go by. It was fantastic. And so I feel like I've broken through a bit of a threshold there, which some of you have ahead of you when you come to Portugal. I think I have covered everything I wish to. If you haven't, please get your comments in now. And Will, yeah, you've discovered the zen of queuing. I think I have, Will. I really think, and I think it's a thing. I think it's a thing here. I honestly do. Okay, so we have a news item that's just come in connected to Portuguese language and culture. And I've just clicked the wrong button and lost what I was hoping to share with you. That's not good. Facebook is slowing down. I don't know if anyone else has got a slow internet this morning. I certainly have, and I'm clicking buttons all over the place, trying to find you the bit that's connected to an important breakthrough in learning the Portuguese language this morning, which I'll finish with. Thank you to listen to this bit, Portugal's spoof news in English. And that'll give you a bit of a clue. A new pill is set to revolutionize language learning. Nicknamed the Lingo Pill, it will make learning a new language as easy as a good night's sleep. Richard James, CEO of Cypher, explains the Lingo Pill has been developed after many years of research involving chemicals too complicated to explain in an article such as this. We realized years ago how difficult it is to learn a new language, especially for the British. So we've been working hard to make it as simple as possible. Basically, you take the pill with one glass of water before you go to bed at night, and you wake up the next morning fluent in the language of your choice. It really couldn't be any simpler. There's no books to worry about or podcasts to listen to or struggling with boring verbs. The pill does it all for you. It really is amazing. We asked Richard if the pill has any side effects, to which he replied, not really. The only thing we've noticed is that alcohol can have an impact. With light drinkers, it's been fine. But with the heavy drinkers, we've noticed that rather than speaking Portuguese, people woke up the next morning still speaking English, but with a very loud Yorkshire accent. That's quite a side effect. We're not sure why that is, but we realize it can be or will be very off-putting for some. So we're working hard to find a solution, I guess, in Lingo Pill 2.0. The Lingo Pill is truly an amazing development, enabling those of us still struggling with the language to enjoy Portuguese films, literature, television, and engage seamlessly with neighbors and officialdom. The benefits will be truly life-changing. We spoke with British expat David Smith, who's lived in Faro for the last 15 years, but still only speaks 3 words of Portuguese, duas cervejas and obrigado. And we asked him if he would be taking the fantastic Lingo Pill. David replied, I don't think so. To be honest, taking a pill before I go to bed sounds like too much hard work. Besides, everyone around here speaks English. Thank you, Paul, at Spoof News in English. A great note to end on. Actually, no, this is another philosophical note that we can end on. What is life but waiting in a queue? Thanks, Garvo. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in this morning. See you tonight. It's our social, expatsportugal.com. Register over there if you want to join us for our social, Expats Portugal social, which is a lot of fun. The legendary Lawler with his quiz tonight, the 3rd quiz that we've done, or that we will be doing tonight, and hanging out. Bring a bottle, have some fun, and we will be doing not exactly speed dating, but sort of mixing people up into little groups so you can meet new people. It's been fun before, and I dare say it will be again tonight, especially with Jerry's fantastic quiz to get everybody warmed up. And Jerry and I dealing with we've got the responsibility for the technology tonight, so that could add an interesting twist to it as well. So looking forward to that. And thereafter, the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. Folks, have you got your fizz for tonight? Espumante, the Tavora, Varosa, Terras del Demo. This is a beautiful espumante that we'll be trying tonight. There's a gold label and a green label. Get either, preferably the gold, but the green's just as good. And we will be in the very capable and wonderful hands of Linda Austin tonight, who is leading that tasting. Really looking forward to it as a little bit of a change from the red, which is also an American political statement I've made there. Some people are looking forward to a change from the red over there as well as we speak. But we're on the fizz tonight at the Wine Club. Do join us just after 9 o'clock. Okay, I will see you then, I hope, and if not tonight, then tomorrow morning for our concluding the week with the Good Morning Portugal live stream. I hope we'll talk more about preparing, sharing and caring for each other in what I'm thinking is going to be the no normal post-pandemic life in Portugal. Take care. Bye for now. Abraços. Beijinhos.